On this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast, when the spooky girl says things have gotten too dark, maybe you should lighten up a little.
And Leviathan shit everywhere. Everywhere. Let's do this.
To so many yoga classes, it doesn't matter. Nobody in yoga gives a shit if you shave your armpits. Just don't.
It's reasonable. Welcome to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. I'm Diana.
Liz.
And this week we'll talk about Season 7, Episode 2, Hello, Cruel World.
You know, I think maybe it just annoyed me because it's got Cruel World in the title, and Cruel World itself, the festival, just really pissed me off. And so maybe that's why this episode annoys me. There are things I like about it, but anyways, what have you been up to?
Just been real busy with work stuff. So other than that, I actually relaxed and got some errands done and had a nice brunch with some old friends. And then what about you?
So in the settling into new home area, I have been meeting the animals that exist on my street, one of which I don't know if it's a feral cat. I don't know if it's my neighbor's cat. I don't know if it's my cat. It may be my cat. Well, this cat, it sleeps in the flower pots, which I just think is hysterical. I'm just growing cats now. So it's and so we're under this severe drought and my lawn is dead. And so San Antonio, they haven't cut things off yet, but I just got a notice from my last place of residence that, hey, stop watering your lawn, bitches. It's 105. Stop it. Nobody cares. And so that pot has nothing in it because I was it's too hot. I'm not going outside. So now it just has a cat. But my actual cat is not a fan of said outdoor cat.
Flower pot.
The flower pot cat. I think we're just going to call him Flower, right? Is that what we should name him?
You can call me Flower.
You can call me Flower. And I also think it may be a girl. I don't know. Well, there is, you remember I sent Diana a picture of it just spread eagled on my porch the other day, and I didn't see anything there while it was spread eagled. So, but
yeah.
Tonight I'm very excited I got a new fancy bed, and it has a massage feature, which I did try, and I figured out that the massage thing isn't really meant. The bed is meant for people who sleep on one or the other side, even though it's not split. So I guess you have to probably you can probably hit both, right? But it just you can massage the left side or massage the right side, and haven't tried to massage both. But there is an app for it, so you can try and hack my bed if you want. I challenge you to do that. I don't give a shit. You want to hack my bed? That's fucking awesome. But. So it's supposed to, I'm very excited. It's got this snore feature on it, and they're very insistent. If you want to use this shit, you just have to give us your data. They won't, they're just not kidding around. They're you can't have the anti-snore bed unless you give us your data. And I kind of feel a little held hostage by my bed because I'm well, shit, how much of this information can I fake? So just to confuse the algorithm, can I invite really heavy people over to sleep one night, and then really light people over to sleep the next, and then have 5 people or a bunch of dogs or something, and just have the algorithm be we don't,
all over the place. We have no idea.
We can't track anything about you on this. That's how you fool the AI, people. That's how you do it.
Garbage data.
You give it garbage data. Everything is trash, right? We live in a garbage world.
Yeah. On that happy note, somebody
See,
has a birthday around this episode launch.
see, but that was
so-
happy because that was that I say that I was honestly just picturing possums. So when I
Well,
say
that's true.
everything is trash, like I'm just picturing trash animals. I'm just like
Well, that's
picturing
good. Okay,
raccoons and
we like
possums.
that. Possums and raccoons. Yes, please.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess also I have a birthday this week. I don't whatever. It's a mid 40 birth. Nobody cares about your birthdays at this point. Like I have like a few more years until I'm.
Care. Like celebrate you, Liz. Celebrate you.
I celebrate me every day. I don't need a birthday to celebrate me. I'm awesome. Right?
True.
I think that's what I wrote in my mirror. I think I put it on a sticky note. I did also get like this is like a very stupid thing, and we'll send a picture of it. Things that make me happy that I got during Amazon Prime. This is the dumbest thing, and now I feel like one of those influencers I was talking about on last week's episode. But I got this cat post-it note holder, and it was like on sale for like $5. But it's like really, you can't see it in my light. But I'll send a picture and we'll post it on socials. But it's this little cat, and it's holding my post-it notes and.
Aww.
It's stupid, and it goes on my desk, and it has some sand in it, so it's also like a little weight. So you can also make it into a percussion instrument. It could be like a little maraca. So
like the egg shaker.
Yeah, no. So this is truly what's making me happy this week is this stupid little cat.
Hey, I understand. I'll take it. Sometimes you need those things.
Yeah.
I do love a good post-it note.
I was just feeling very discombobulated because I didn't have like post-it notes available, right? So,
yeah, they're very important to me.
All right, are we ready? You want to talk about it?
Yeah, let's talk about this episode.
All right, so Hello Cruel World was not named after a California New Wave festival that tried to melt me into the earth. According to Supernatural Wiki, it is a play on the phrase "Goodbye, Cruel World," which, but I think they had something valid here. They said it's often referenced as a person's last words before they commit suicide, and so the reference here is the Sam state of mind. So I was like, okay, I like that as a metaphor or whatever. I think that's a very interesting thing to title it. I still don't like it. I also don't like all of the references to suicide in this. I guess trigger warning on that just because it's gross. So that happens a lot in this episode, which I think is a downer. This first aired September 30th, 2011. It was directed by Guy B. We last saw him direct Frontierland. So, the last one he did was a lot funner than this one, I will say.
Very, very different vibe. Way different vibe.
Very different vibe. But it was written by Ben Edlund. And I think you can see, see a lot of Edlund come through in this and just a lot of the dialogue, I think. Because there's still, very quippy dialogue, even though it's shit.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
No,
there's some great... This one has a lot of really, really great lines.
Yeah.
I will agree with that.
Yep. All right.
Yep. So we open with Leviathan-filled Cass is covered in black veins and just throwing Dean and Bobby around. But Dean kind of stops him and starts asking. He's like, how many of those ass clowns, is what he calls the Leviathans, are inside you? And is like, hey, I think your vessel's going to explode. And it's not exactly wrong. So what I refer to as Elsie, aka Leviathan Cass, just promises he'll be back and waddles, as Liz says, away while leaking black fluid.
Okay, so before this started, we were talking about because I was trying to time what is about to happen. So we're about to have some lore. And I was like, hey, it comes after he waddles off, somebody looks like they're waddling off when they have to go to the bathroom, and it's number 2. And then you just said with black ooze coming out. So this is just
not of his butt, to be clear.
You didn't. You said it was back. I thought I heard back. So I don't know.
It was oozing black fluid. But it was from his face and head mostly.
Yeah. So, but anyways, he just is trying to keep it inside as he goes into the water. So
it's clenching real tight.
His sphincter's closed. All right. So lore. so I wanted to talk at this point just about what Leviathan are, because one, I really wanted to know, because this is one of those words that means a lot of things, right?
For sure.
And so within English language, it's a metaphor for, things that like gargantuan corporations. So if you were someone who hates capitalism, Leviathan may be something you read about a lot. And so I, was doing some research, and well, frankly, then I ran out of time to write my research. So I took all my source material and I dumped it into Chat GPT, and then I asked it to write it for me like it was for a podcast. So this is what my AI boyfriend thinks that I would sound. I think maybe we have to feed it my voice or like something so it like learns to talk like
no,
me.
don't do that. Don't do that. That's scary.
Oh, I can't even tell you the things I've been doing with my voice and AI. Those are really, I can't tell you, but they're good. Anyways, so
so creepy and scary. I don't like it.
I don't know. It's such a way to do crime. So anyway,
I know, and that's what I don't like about it.
Well, I mean, learning how to do, I have to learn how to do crime so I can learn how to fight crime. So, whatever. Also, crime is fun. Yeah. So this is what my podcast friend, my APT, my Chat GPT language model friend thinks a podcast sounds like. So, Welcome back to another episode of Myth and Politics Unveiled. Today we explore the fascinating concept of Leviathan, which has multiple definitions and usages throughout history. Let's dive into it. When we talk about Leviathan, we can trace its origins to the Old Testament. In those texts, Leviathan is depicted as a colossal sea monster or serpent. It's mentioned in the Book of Psalms and the Book of Job, where it symbolizes chaos and evil. But it doesn't stop there. The term Leviathan has been used to describe overwhelmingly powerful entities in different contexts. For instance, Herman Melville's novel Moby Dick refers to a whale as a Leviathan. So it seems to encompass various gigantic creatures like sea monsters and great whales. In Jewish mythology, Leviathan takes on many forms, such as a primordial sea serpent, dragon, snake, crocodile, or even a whale-like creature. Scholars believe that this mythology drew inspiration from biblical Middle Eastern tales, particularly the Ugaritic myth of Baal sea monster. That one.
Oh,
I remember that one, right? Now, let's shift our focus to the religious perspective. In Christianity, the Leviathan is seen as a mighty beast created by Yahweh, representing divine power over all living things. Sometimes it's associated with Satan or considered a symbol of the deadly sin of envy. So they think that it's interesting to note that the word itself comes from the Hebrew word Leviathan, which means twisted, coiled, or winding, and is often used to describe any sea monster or powerful creature. So then it goes on to talk about Thomas Hobbes, because Thomas Hobbes wrote something called Leviathan, which in that it becomes a metaphorical creature representing a powerful central authority or state. And its purpose was to maintain order and prevent chaos within society. So, and although Hobbes's Leviathan doesn't necessarily equate to a totalitarian state with a vast bureaucracy, we can draw connections to historical and fictional instances. For example, totalitarian regimes like Nazi Germany under Adolf Hitler, Stalinist Soviet Union under Joseph Stalin, and the People's Republic of China under Mao Zedong had highly centralized power structures with extensive bureaucracies that exerted control over society. Then he starts talking, or I don't know why I thought that my Chat GPT is a man. I just do. So then it just started telling.
That's your Chat GPT boyfriend.
It is, yeah. Also, I'm pretty sure the language model was also done by a dude. So this was, then he starts going on about 1984, which is one of my favorite books. Duh.
Same.
Yeah, and so basically talks about how within that, the totalitarian state embodies a concept of Leviathan. And also then talks about it of my other favorite books out of Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. And in this novel, the world state represents a highly centralized and technocratic society that controls every aspect of its citizens' lives through extensive bureaucracy. Okay, and it goes through some other things I don't think are important, but there's things that I wanted to pick out of there to think about as we go through season 7. Because spoiler alert, Leviathan are one of the big bads of season 7. Duh. Shocking. I know. So, okay, so the one is just kind of what they are, like, monster-wise, and a lot of times I think you can get from that, it's like sea monstery, right? So
sea monstery, yeah.
Sea monstery or big behemoth-y.
Snaky sea monstery thingies.
Things that you also, like, there was in one of the stories I read, they used the skin of the Leviathan as a canopy over Adam and Eve as something nice for them, because it was like the nicest skin in the world. So it's like you can like sit under it.
I'm just processing. I'm like, please don't give me that gift ever. Like,
yeah, thanks, but no thanks.
Next thing you're like, thanks. I've got to run right now. I'll be back later.
I would like not to have a can. I did just get a canopy bed. I would like to not get like skin to put across it. No Leviathan skin across my canopy. Okay, thank you.
Noted.
But anyway, so we don't really see, I don't know, as we were kind of like exploring what they are like and how they're represented here, like, you know, one thing, you know, like I'll call it the South Park Canadian version of the head that just like kind of flaps open.
Yeah.
And I feel like that kind of comes across in some of the mythology. It's just this idea of like a two-face or a two-head, like just kind of like the flapping things and like the long tongues and the teeth. So I think that's kind of important from a mythology standpoint. But I also want to like bring that concept of Leviathan representing big business and corporations and centralized states. That word, as we start to move through this season, I want us to like keep that idea on the back of our mind. Okay? Just saying. Let's just want to keep that. So we're gonna wrap up with Laura there. But I also love that my boyfriend thinks that I want to talk about mythology and politics. I mean, I do, but that's, you know, it's just like, oh hey, like what are things that she wants to hear about? Like this is what I'm gonna feed you. I'm like, thank you.
There you go.
Those are things I like.
That's true.
It's
very, very true. Very fitting.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So we cut back to the hallway inside this lab where Lucifer has Sam held against the wall, choking him. What the fuck? So we're back in Sam's head. We don't know what's real. We don't know what's not real. All we know is Sam saying Lucifer's not real, and Lucifer calls him a peppy American psycho.
So
for when he didn't have a soul, which was a great line, I thought.
It is. And I hate and I love this, like, because I'm just going to call him Mark, because Mark, as he's acting as Lucifer, he asked to come on our podcast, and we haven't reached out and invited him yet. Maybe someday, Mark. I don't know. Just like reach out again. Like, okay, he didn't reach out. Like, our friend bought a cameo from him, and then he said he should be invited on our podcast. I'm sure we've mentioned this before, but what I was going to say it again. I mean, reach out again. You know, and we'll consider.
Yeah.
But like him calling like Sam a little bitch is so good.
Oh, it is.
But
it is.
I hate this so much. I hate hallucinations.
The premise.
The fans, I think, started calling him Hell Lucifer for hallucination and Lucifer, or Hell and Lucifer. But so I have called him Hell Lucifer in my notes for the rest of this, just so you know.
Okay. Well, as soon as Dean and Bobby arrive, he's gone. And Sam is super confused, rightfully so. Mm-hmm. And they're confused. Everybody's fucking confused. Except for Leviathan Kess, because he's wandering into the water, which happens to be the municipal waters in the public water supply. And he goes underwater, creates a little waterfall, and a bunch of black stuff goes out into the water.
So if you think about what we were talking about earlier about cats when they need to poop, and just like
he walks all the way out into the water, we get a whirlpool, and then black stuff goes everywhere.
Yeah.
Ew.
Hey,
Ew.
you know.
And Dean, Sam, and Bobby get to witness the end of this, and they're like, well, fuck, now there's Leviathans in the pipes, so that's not good. We got to figure this out. And we see a sad scene, though. We do get Castiel's coat. His trench coat
just comes floating away, and that's how Dean knows he's gone.
Cass
A boyfriend's gone. What will ever become of Destiel?
Well, Dean gets misty-eyed. He's pretty sad.
Hmm.
I like that Dean calls Castiel a dumb son of a bitch, and Bobby co-signs it. He's like, yeah, anybody who's friends with us is dumb, but time to roll. So they leave, and we get now the Doobie Brothers Blackwater starts playing, which is really well done.
I think that was a very good choice for there. It was
nicely done. And we start getting a montage of water usage starting with a bikini car wash.
Yes, of high school girls. They have like high school. What's great is like they like got high school girls, but then I think they just had people from set because they didn't like think to get like younger men. So it's just like middle-aged men looking at these high school girls, and it's not a good.
Have you ever been to a bikini car wash?
Why would I go to a bikini car wash?
I mean, I've participated, so that's why I know it. That's the audience, just so you know.
Ew.
A lot of it, yeah.
I don't think that. Do they do those anymore? They don't, right? Like that's just something.
Roller derby was raised. We were raising money. This was like in the odds.
We were adult women, though. These are high school girls.
We were not high school.
No, it's fine. Adult women can have like middle-aged men. Like that's fine. These were clearly underage, like 15-year-old girls, and it was. That's problematic and gross. Yeah. Anyhow, but then like speaking of problematic and gross, we have a tiny girl who's just creepy before she's possessed.
She's already creepy. Yeah. Well, we get the mom filling a pitcher of water, just like a quick one of that. Then we go to this creepy little girl, and she's drinking this water fountain, and this young boy is standing next to her. And as she already looks shifty AF, and then as she's drinking the water turns black. Like,
and she not bat an eyelash.
Stop. She's just like, oh, and she keeps drinking it, and then she steps back and like convulses, and then gets a grin and looks at the boy that's with her.
And she's worse. And she's worse than she was before. I really hope that I'm crossing fingers she shows up in casting couch. All right, so then we get to so what else we got?
A garage shows a man working on a car.
And I guess a man with a very coveted distributor cap.
He's got the distributor cap, and then he's trying to change starts. Then he goes to the spark plugs. Then he goes to the spark plugs. That's the spark plug that he gets to. He's holding up, staring at the light.
Okay.
But he's working on, and the car is it says 6-pack on the hood, and that is a Mopar thing, in case you were curious. And it specifically means it has 3 double barrel carburetors in it. So it's 6 barrels total, which is not crazy abnormal, but it is a lot. It was, you'd find that in late 60s to early 70s through 1971. So I don't know exactly which car that is. Didn't have enough info for that, but there's your.
I feel like notes. A car horn should like honk like right now. So hey, this car fact.
All right.
And then like a little like
ding. So his shop sink, which I'm like, damn, I really wish we had a shop sink. Anyways, shop sink starts shuddering.
You don't have a sink in your garage?
Nope.
That's a strange thing. But yeah, this is terrible. This is why I don't like shop sinks. So they all have this kind of water. And this is not something that's just like said for like Leviathan. I think this is just like in like 50 to 75% of shop sinks are going to do this.
Yeah, it shudders a lot and then squirts black water at your face.
Yes.
Sounds right. That tracks.
Am I wrong?
Not shocked.
Yeah.
No.
I'm sorry that was so high pitch, but it's high pitch anyway. So black ooze just squirts all over him. There's just a lot of ooze squirting everywhere in this episode.
There's a lot of fluids. A lot of fluids. So Sam's sleeping back at Bobby's, and Dean wakes him up, gets him a water and a protein bar, and he had apparently, and we had seen at the end of the last episode, Sam had cut his hand pretty bad on broken glass when he collapsed, when he had his first flashback. So I got to check out the hand wound.
But also, Sam's been asleep for 12 hours.
That's
12.
wrong.
So
Sounds
that
awful.
sounds so great. I'm like, oh my god, you got to sleep for 12. Like, I just want to sleep for 8 hours straight. And so the idea of like getting to sleep for 12 hours straight feels like goddamn heaven. So how is this hell? How is this hell, Sam?
Well, Lucifer's there narrating and mocking everything that's happening. And Sam can hear and see him, but Dean can't,
Well, that's good.
which would be a very frustrating situation. And Sam's got some Frankenstein ass stitches across his palm.
Right? And then they pour whiskey on it. And like they have gauze, but like you don't have isopropyl. Like, what the fuck?
Anything.
Like,
Yeah.
get some hydrogen peroxide.
Hyperoxide. Like, what the fuck?
Like,
Just some good old fashioned dial and water,
yeah,
actually,
like,
sir,
so
would be
you
fine
got some
compared to that whiskey.
Neosporin, like just any, like just go to the sink and wash it.
Yeah, seems pretty basic. But Dean decides he's gonna Bobby's researching Leviathans, but Dean's gonna ask Sam how he's actually doing. Don't say okay.
He's mean.
And Sam finally says, Sam's like, okay, I'm not okay. Duh.
Yeah, I don't feel like he's asking him. I feel like he's like beating him and being super mean. Like, I'm sorry, like if your brother's head is like cracking and like he's going through a mental breakdown, you can be a little nicer, Dean.
A little bit, yeah, would probably be helpful. But he's also frustrated because Sam kept saying, "Oh, fine, fine," when he obviously wasn't.
Yes, that's fair. But like, come on, man. Like, you can clearly tell your brother is like cracking up and you're yelling at him.
It's not the best. Not the best.
It's Think about the consequences of your approach, man.
So, but Sam does kind of say, like, look, I'm having trouble figuring out what's real.
Oh,
Ruh-roh. Alarm bells. So it's not just the flashbacks. And look, I wasn't trying to hide anything. I just knew that y'all had a lot going on. I didn't want to burden you further.
And I feel that, like, I understand that sometimes, like, you just know that you can't fix what's going on, and I'm just going to bottle the shit up and keep it to myself, and you don't need to know. Like, that's fair. Don't look at me like that. Whatever.
Sam obviously explains the whole concept that Lucifer has told him is what's happening. This is all fucking fake. You're still in the cage. This is just all the mind fuck. And Dean's like, wait a minute. Okay, let's drink some whiskey first of all, because priorities, duh. But also, why would he holodeck your whole life when he could just kick you around in the cage? And Sam explains exactly what Lucifer did, is that you can't torture someone with nothing to take away. So I need to make you think and have hope that you can have life, and so I can rip that shit away from you, because that's way more fun to watch you suffer like this. So, but there's some really good lines in this little exchange, like you were talking about the writing here. Talks about holodecking your life and Malibu dream house, post-apocalyptic mess. I'm like, okay, there's some good ones. And I thought the Malibu dream house was very timely for us this around now with Barbie movie coming out. And the post-apocalyptic, because you've also got Oppenheimer.
Yeah, it's really sad that all people have to latch on to right now is the Barbie movie. And they're just like...
And Oppenheimer.
And they will... Oh, man, you need to go listen to the last podcast on the left's Manhattan Project. It's 5 parts. It's like, I think it was like 20 hours. It's like, but it's so good. And then like, oh yeah, I no thank you, Oppenheimer. No thank you.
I don't want to watch it. I'm just really enjoying all the cross art that people are doing with the Barbenheimer stuff. Have you seen that?
No, I have not. I have not been following that line of memeing.
It just popped up. I've seen people feed it, but it's very entertaining, clever crossover art.
I honestly have no idea the last time I opened my phone to just like look at my phone and not be like, who the fuck from work is text messaging me, or where am I going, or what the fuck is going on. Yes, okay. Goodness. Yeah. So, but anyways, I do like that Lucifer is like, it's got to be a mess or Sam wouldn't believe it, which then I also have in my notes,
line.
like that is dark and I'm going to go whimper in the corner because that is like this whole, like it's lines like that turn this into like, this is so dark. And there's like these quippy little things that are pumped up like over it. But like the entire thing that's like starts trending is like this dark part of Sam's mind, maybe, that's trying to get him to kill himself, pretty much, right? And Bobby just gives up and goes back to work. And you know what, Bobby, like, I am right behind you. Like, I got shit to do. Like, I'm just gonna go research Leviathan. Yep, I'm here.
So now we flick her back to our little creepy girl who likes to drink the black water.
So in the transcript for this episode, they just say, and I don't know where they pulled, like, I don't where I should have kept, like, if who the transcript writer was, but it said interior possessed little girl's bedroom, and then it says the possessed little girl is watching TV, and so I'm glad I'm not the only one. There's just like, we don't know what else to call her. She's just a possessed little girl.
She has a name.
I know, but that's how you describe her. Like,
Yeah,
and
that's right.
everyone's like, oh yeah, I know this little girl. Like, that can just be her name, possessed little girl.
Well, I'm pretty amused though. What she flips through the channels, we get an ad for Dickerson's Pie Bar, like a salad bar but with pie, and then we get and Dr. Sexy MD. Oh, we've seen that. Get some good throwbacks. And so it's talking about basically doctors, somebody's being sarcastic, like, oh, you just get to cut into folks whenever you want, and whatever, take their organs and
And at this point, I like the little girl because
she's grinning.
When she gets very excited to hear about this very dark thing, like, oh my god, surgeons just get to cut open people, and like, she's very Wednesday Addams at this point. So now I'm on her side. So now, so now this is my little girl. All right, go possess little girl.
Okay. Well, Sam's spending a lot of time cleaning guns from about here on out in the episode. It's about where it picks up, about where it starts. And Dean and Bobby are researching on the Tri-State Sheriff's Patrol dispatch. And it doesn't seem that Dean's thrilled about Sam's current fascination with field stripping all of his guns. It just seems a little bit.
Yeah, so
his mindset, but he's got GPS on Sam, so he's good if Sam tries to.
I don't understand this, right? So basically he says he's turning GPS on Sam's phone, but basically, so you just turned on location tracking on your brother, who I'm pretty sure is a felon.
By my
probably.
Friends, isn't that a thing?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a reason you don't have this on your phone. I mean, not that it matters anymore, but I mean, like, there is a reason that used to be a thing you should turn off. Now just don't even worry about it. They're tracking you other ways. But
they've got plenty of other ways to track you now.
But it seems like it's bad OPSEC. Like, even just like if you want to keep a hold of your brother, like, I feel like, yeah, then he's just going to get arrested by the FBI.
Oh, well, we get Dean tries to connect with Dean. Bobby tries to connect with Dean and like tries to legit ask him how he's doing. But as we all expect, Dean ain't giving a straight answer here. But he's like, look, it's not a hex. This is the type of crazy you can't just fix. So he's really stressed about Sam. But Bobby pushes, and Dean's like, no, I'm fine. But Bobby's like, look, you're mad when Sam said that to you. You just lost one of your best friends, and Sam's cuckoo right now, and Purgatory's most wanted is surfing our sewer lines. You tell me you're fine. Pretty good one. It was pretty good.
It is really good. And it also, I think there's
I didn't do it justice. I'm sorry.
No, you did it wonderfully. You did it. Yeah, my brain was on my next point I wanted to make, which was this exchange between Bobby and Dean actually ends up working out in the way that it tends to work out for those of us who don't like to talk about our feelings, because like there's at the end of it, they end up having just kind of this like semi-insulting of each other, but with like smiles behind the eyes, which like shows that Dean acknowledges, I understand you're reaching out to me and I love you for it, and this is really great. And and then Bobby calls him an idiot, and that's just like, that means I love you, and I just think it's it's a very sweet thing. Like, even though it's dark, it turns out very sweet.
It is. It's still annoying. They should talk. That's okay.
Yeah, sometimes you don't have to talk. Like, at that point, I'd be like...
No, not always.
At that point, I'd be like, cool, it's over. Like, we really don't... Sometimes you don't have time to discuss your feelings. You've got Leviathan that are shitting everywhere.
Leviathan shit all over the floor.
There's Leviathan shit all over the floor.
Everywhere.
It's just everywhere.
It's in the water.
It's all over the walls. Like, you don't have time to talk about your feelings.
You clean up Leviathan shit everywhere.
Clean up Leviathan shit. So sweet. All right. So we're going to cut to a high school.
Speaking of shit, and we're gonna go to Stockville High School, and their mascot is the Sharks, which is really funny when we realize that we're gonna go visit the swim team locker room, and it's the Sharks. Isn't that funny?
It is. Also, what's really funny is my notes say something weird is happening in the boys' bathroom.
Forever and ever.
For there's always something weird happening in the boys' bathroom of high school, I'm pretty sure.
Oh my gosh. So, and I comment about how the boys are getting weird. So that's my note.
Yep.
But yeah, so three of the swim teamers attack another three, and they've got the ones that are attacking have like black tears and stuff. So they've got the black Leviathan shits on their face. Just kidding. I'm not going to keep that up, but I can't resist. But yeah, so it's really violent. It like slams one of the boys' heads into a locker, and then one's on top of the locker bank. And, like,
so we know the Leviathan can jump really high, and I don't know why he decided I want to be a gargoyle, but he is like, ooh.
I was like, oh, he's up there. Okay, that's what's happening. Sure.
Hopefully
sure.
It's not like my cat and like exploring the new house. She keeps jumping up to places and then like forgetting like how to get down. She keeps eyeing like the top of the fireplace. Like that's the place she's been eyeing this past like couple of days. And I'm like, that mantle is very thin. That's not as wide as a thing as you think it is, honey.
Yeah.
So, anyways, okay. So back to Sue.
Blood splatter in the locker room.
Shit splatter. Yeah, pitter patter. Other splatter. Like.
Oh my gosh.
So we're
pitter patter splatter. I mean, we'll just leave it at that. It's all the splatters. So we got Sioux Falls General Hospital, and who do we find there?
Jody. Yay!
Sheriff Jody Mills back. Anyways, so I'm excited, and she just had an appendectomy, and she's listening to her what is presented as a slightly crazy hospital roommate, her shared hospital room, talking about how like terrible the hospitals and surgeons are, and you can't trust them. They'll stitch you up with sponges and clamps inside of you.
And she's just being so sweet, Jody, and just like listening to her windbag of a roommate. But then I also have a note that says, wait, your appendix can burst when you're an adult. Is this something I have to be worried about now?
Add it to the list.
I was like, shit, what? That could still happen? Like, I thought that was just something that happened like as a teenager. Now I'm like, shit, okay.
And I guess it could. I don't know. Well, we get Dr. Gaines entering, and he's like, look, everything was fine. It was textbook, but you need to take it easy. Here's some painkillers so you can sleep it off tonight and then get out tomorrow. Sounds very reasonable. Nice doctor.
He is. He's a very nice, attractive doctor. And then what does our patient have to say about him?
Our neighbor patient makes a crack about him being charming and cites a statistic that 3/4 of doctors cheat on their exams. So he might not know her appendix from her vagina.
And most like he is also a male doctor, so he still might not know her appendix from her vagina. He might think that's where her appendix is.
Well, I might think you find it there, but I think that he understands that. I think that the at least the bare bones understanding that an appendix is a thing versus a vagina is a part of an opening. I feel like it'd be easy.
I mean, it's not like we're asking him to find the clitoris, but whatever. So,
no, I'm like, I just thought it was a funny comparison. I thought it was hysterical.
I know, but also I just kind of love this old lady. She is batshit crazy, and she goals, man. #goals. All right, so we cut back to Bobby's.
Yeah. Where Dean just got back from the store while Sam and Bobby stayed back researching. And Sam has found something that in the Stockville in North Kansas, most of the swim team was found mangled. And it looks like it could be a wild animal attack, but it'd be the size of a linebacker. So Sam can't go out on a fucking mission. Bobby's running his hub like he does. So Sam calls himself 5150, which I thought was funny. So Dean's got to go.
And one thing I think also to point out there, which I didn't quite go over in lore, is Leviathan also means a lot of times enormous or a behemoth, like as I said. So like a linebacker. So just something kind of like, okay, so that sort of aligns with, I don't know, like we just have like this, the Leviathan of this, like they're so humanoid. automatically. You know, like I feel like we kind of miss like the monster that they are. Like we only see it in little segments, at least in this episode.
No, I agree. So Dean's going solo, and we cut back to the park where our creepy little girl is swinging on a swing.
Yep, my notes say our creepy child is in a swing set. So, yep.
And
I think we have adopted her now, by the way. She's ours.
She's yours now. And the spark plug dude is now going to approach her and comment on how small her body is and start pushing her on the swing. And she's like, yeah, it's too small. I can't even see over the counter.
How do they like? But like, it's so weird, like what they know and what they don't know, right? Like, so she knows to sit on a swing, and he'll push it, right? Mm-hmm. And she apologizes for the swim team, but they were hungry. We're so hungry.
And he's like, "Yeah, you need to back off and get in line. The boss wants things taken care of." So she's like, I have an idea.
So we're learning, like, kind of like, I like how they're kind of throwing a little things out, right? So these two are obviously, I feel like they seem like important Leviathan, and they have a boss somewhere though. There's someone who's still above them, right?
Yeah, they're not the boss, but they're like the lieutenants or whatever you'd say.
Yeah. So they don't seem very monster. Like, it doesn't seem like I'm just a monster. I want to eat. Like, they're very intelligent. Very
strategic. Yeah. So back at the hospital, we see that Dr. Gaines finds our little girl, Annie is her name. We know at this point. Behind a curtain. And she asks him if he is Dr. Sexy.
But she was also like humming behind a curtain. Like, I'm sorry, if you're in a dark area and there's something humming behind a curtain, you walk on by. You just keep on walking. You let whatever is humming there just finish their little song and you go somewhere else.
So she just asks him basically if he's the surgeon of her dreams from her television watching. Yeah, that's mine. I don't mean in a creepy way. I mean just
I know, it's gross though. So gross.
And so she grabs his arm and tells him she wants to be a surgeon when she grows up, and she wants to grow up now. So she breaks his arm. We pan around the curtain, and when we pan back, she has already turned into him. So now it's like a shapeshifter thing too, which is real cray.
Yeah. So that is something we're definitely learning that they can do, right? So they can get it. They have another person, and then they become it, right? So she's become a child, but they didn't need to do that to become the child.
But why?
They just had to go inside.
Had to be drank. So why can't it just go like into from one mouth into the other mouth? I'm hand motioning. I know you can't hear that. Sorry, guys.
But they can hear that she's made.
I did make that noise. Yeah. Why can't this be like and like spit in their mouth and like?
Please hold still while I spit in your mouth.
I don't know. I mean, the black fluid just had to like barely get on dude's face, and now he's like a big.
I feel like that got into an orifice, though. Like, I feel like it has to go into an orifice, right? Like, it got into his mouth or like his nose.
Yeah, they just spit in their mouth.
They spit in his mouth. Yep. Okay. Moving on.
So now we got two doctors, and so now we know real Dr. Gaines is dead, and Leviathan Dr. Gaines is now there.
And now she's just officially Dr. Sexy. She's taken on the persona of Dr. Sexy, and you go, little girl, evil thing. All right.
So Dean gets to the high school and introduces himself as Agent Ian Anderson, which is a Jethro Tull reference.
And I looked up Jethro Tull, and the pictures of him are kind of frightening, right? Did you know so he's not Jethro Tull. He is just a musician that is in Jethro Tull, but he's a flautist. And also, like, a guitarist earlier. And there's just some pictures of him holding a flute. And he's very... I don't know how to describe him. He looks very, like Anton LaVey, satanic, with a flute.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know Jethro Tull would do that. But anyways. So CSI gives Dean the lowdown. And I love CSI dude. He is just on point. He has shit to do, and he's going to tell you things in an efficient manner.
Yeah. With some good slang in there, too. I like it. Yes, he is on it. And as Dean goes to investigate, he does see the black smear on the wall. So now we know that this is definitely a Leviathan-caused problem.
And now I'm just thinking it's like a truck stop bathroom with just like shit smeared
on the wall. Leviathans everywhere.
Just like they're just smearing their shit everywhere they're going.
So back in the hospital, Jody wakes up and she hears Dr. Sexy telling her roommate that to breathe and was giving her, I don't know, whatever sedative
I
gas.
just put anesthesia, but yeah. I mean,
and it calls himself Dr. Sexy to her. And she's like, my surgery is supposed to be in the morning. And he said, your surgery is when I say it is. I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Well,
see, I kind of like her.
So she falls asleep and gets wheeled out. And Jody pretends to be asleep.
But Jody's also just like not a dummy, right? She just pretends to be asleep. And then she's like, something's up and I'm going to follow you.
Mm-hmm. So back at the house, Sam's phone rings, and as soon as he gets it, we all see that Lucifer's there again, but he's sitting there reading Weekly World News, and the cover story is Area 51 shocker. I was very
timely,
intrigued.
Oddly timely.
I want to see the rest of it. It is right now. And Dean tells Sam that the swim team locker room was positive for ick, as he calls it. And there's 2 kids missing. They stole a car, and they're actually supposed to be headed towards the South Dakota line. So he's going to come back and regroup. And Lucifer is kind of commenting throughout this whole thing to Sam, like, "Oh, apparently Prince William finally found the right girl." Which is also,
yeah.
So yeah. And we've got, this. Yeah. So Dean asks how Sam is, and Sam just looks at Lucifer and says, "Okay." And Lucifer's like, "Sure, good line, good story, brah." And Lucifer stabs a knife into the desk. And so here's my question is, could anybody else see the knife stabbed into the desk? Because wouldn't that help answer a lot of questions at this point?
Maybe, but we don't know, as we'll find out later, because this is stupid. So Sam's ignoring that. Dean's coming back. Sam's losing his mind. And we cut back to Jody. Yeah.
Yeah, because she's going to follow Dr. Sexy to the organ transplant unit. And she oversees over his, through the window over his shoulder as he's got a scalpel out. This woman's asleep real fast with just gas, which is weird. He never administered any other anesthesia to my knowledge. He's got a scalpel out, cutting into her, and then biting into organs. So what the fuck?
This is one thing though, and I could not figure out how to spell this, and neither could Google. Do you think she was like propheticizing? That's a word, but like, was she predicting her own death when she like was grasped onto this hatred of doctors? Did she just have this intuitive like somewhere she's like knew that she would just
like a premonition almost
yeah. So this is like all like
self-fulfilling prophecy.
We didn't know, but this was her story the whole time. The whole time it was hers.
She knew it. She was living for it. She was telling it before it even happened. Oh, I love that shit. That's so good.
But Jody sees all this and she's like, "The fuck."
And she's like, "Oh shit, I gotta get out of here." And she goes back in the hall, sees a nurse, and it gets busted. So that this also, she's not really supposed to be up and about, so she faints.
Yeah, she did really have like some major surgery, but
yeah. So when she wakes up in bed, nurse is there and like, "Oh yeah, you're not supposed to be up." And she tries to ask about the woman who was her roommate, and the nurse just like, "Who?" And the bed next to her is empty and perfectly made.
Sus. Oh, that's not good. That's not good. But Jody is still not a dummy. And she lies. She lies her ass off. You go, Jody.
Mm-hmm. And then we get Dr. Gaines, a.k.a. Dr. Sexy, wiping his mouth. And it's like, "Oh, you need to take it easy. What are you doing?" She's like, "Oh, my stitches itched, and I wanted to ask if that was normal, and I fainted, but I'm fine now."
She's smart, because she's smart.
She's smart.
But the nurse is just popping her with a sedative in her IV.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice.
And doctor's orders. And she's like, "Oh no." And as soon as they leave, she's like ripping her IV out. And she says, "Kiss my ass, Dr. Monsterface."
Hurt Jody. But I also but it's too late. It's too late.
She already high as fuck.
And then, because she's passing out with that, we go back to Sam talking to Lucifer, and all I put here is I just want to fast forward. If I didn't have, if I wasn't doing this show, I would literally have fast forwarded through the section. I love you guys,
but a golf club.
Yeah. there's nothing we learn from it, right? I think that's why I don't like it, because there's like, there's nothing new. I'm not getting.
Well, this is where we get like the strongest. First up, right here is the beginning of the strong, and like it's been hinted and danced around. This is the strongest implication of suicidal implications right here. I think that's what we get right here at the beginning of this scene. That's where it's like, look, why are you cleaning? Lucifer asks Sam why he's cleaning guns. If he would, because he needs to be pushed till he can't take it anymore. That's when this ends. So why are you cleaning guns? That's our first like actual like, I think very clear addressing of suicide being on the table.
Yeah. And maybe that's why I want to fast forward. It's because it's getting really dark and I just want to go past it.
Yeah, no, it's super dark. Bobby comes in and they have a beer and...
No. Bobby comes in and hears him shouting to somebody else. He's like, oh, something's going on with your head. And then his solution is to give him alcohol. Stop it. Look, he's breaking this. Don't make him drunk. Why do you think that he is going to be better equipped to handle shit drunk?
He's sad and yelling at nobody, so we're going to give him alcohol because that's not a depressant. Cool.
Or just a horrible idea, right?
Well,
like, I've seen this episode of Cops. It doesn't get better when you give the crazy person shouting at something that's not there booze. So, anyways, Bobby's just like, they're not they're not in hell, and Lucifer stabs him.
Oh, it's very upsetting. But I do like, before that happens, I thought there was a couple good comments I just want to share. Because I like that Bobby, to remind Sam that they've beat the devil before. And I do like that Bobby is literally telling Sam that you're not in hell. You are here with us, as Lucifer stabs him through the stomach from behind with a fucking fireplace poker.
Mm.
It's very upsetting.
I don't like it.
No. But it's not real because Bobby doesn't even react. And
or at least we think it's not real. Like, I don't know. Like, we don't know what's going on. I hate this. I hate this. Like, it's gross.
But he doesn't react and he answers the phone. So I know.
But there's a whole mind fuck of it anyways. So
there's a lot of mind fuck. I don't like the mind fuck. Jody is on the phone and says, and tells Bobby that her surgeon is a monster. And she's on the floor of her hospital room while she's telling him this because she's too fucked up to walk. And she's like, look, yep, he ate a woman's liver. His mouth is horrible. And you have to get to the hospital. I can't call a deputy for this, but you need to get here before he eats me. It's quite the call.
It is. I love her. And I'm like, you know, that Bobby like doesn't know who she is, right? So we learn
also. First, he's like playing it off like, come on.
No, I don't. He didn't though. He didn't know who she was. Like this, I think, is a sign that they have not become friends since like kind of like things have been going on. But they're not talking to each other that often. But she's like, reasonable. This is like, hey, like I know you are into this stuff, like, and you can help me.
Yeah. And so Bobby doesn't really want to leave Sam solo, but he feels like he has to. So Sam's like, yeah, I'll man the phone.
He also makes a very timely likeness of 2011 comment of either Sheriff Mills is having an Obamacare insured opium dream or something's eating folks down at Sioux Falls General Hospital. And I just love that is like Obamacare is so 2011.
So back, we cut to the hospital. We've got Edgar, who is the guy that was working on the car with the spark plug. That's his name. And two of our swimmers that we knew were missing enter the hospital. What do they want? They want to go find Dr. Gaines. And this nurse is not feeling their approach. She finds them super sus, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, she just like hands them their asses. Like, no, this is my fucking waiting room. This is not how this shit works. You sit your ass down until the fucking Dr. Sexy comes in.
But then he walks in and is like, oh, we got you. And he explains, Dr. Sexy, our Leviathan, is explaining that, like, yeah, this is where they bring their bodies to be fixed, so they view it as a safe place. But a lot of them die here, and no one questions it. So if we're discreet, no one will ever know. We can just fucking eat people.
I think that's a very astute observation. Like, they just think it's hilarious. Nobody ever questions that you just come to this place and you die.
Yeah, it's very dark. Doesn't make anybody feel good. But he's like, yeah, so now I've got a whole strategy. I'm a surgeon. We need to get a head nurse and an administrator. And Edgar is super impressed, and he thinks the boss will be impressed too. So they send the swim bros to go take over the head nurse and the administrator bodies. And Dr. Sexy really wants Edgar to be the anesthesiologist, but Edgar's got other plans.
He don't have time for that. He don't.
And it's real gross that they can't scream.
Yeah. So, but then what happens, like, after they become them? I guess, like, they, like, because they're just a replica.
Well, they're not taking over that body. Yeah. They just become them.
Yeah. Anyways. All right. So we cut back to Sam, and now he's timing himself field stripping his gun. And he's got a stopwatch, which looks very satisfying. I love those stopwatches.
It does. It's way more satisfying than using your phone one. I mean, I use my phone all the time.
I do, but it's not as satisfying as a clicker.
You're right. Well, Dean gets back and gets a beer, and he's like, "Yeah, I followed the swim kids here, but you know, we got stuff to do. Bobby's on his own case. I need you with me, and yeah, let's get going."
Nope. This is. I hate this.
Me too. So they get in the car and
they're driving, and Dean is just like saying some rude fucking shit. He is just like breaking shit down, and like Sam's like, "What's going on?" And Dean's saying things like, "You're never gonna be okay," and we're like, "What? I don't. This is really mean." Like, but Dean was being mean earlier. Like, did he just become like this gigantic dick?
Well, he was being forceful, trying to force Sam to talk about his feelings before,
mean, right?
But he wasn't. I didn't think it was this level mean. Like, oh, remember our friend who went bonkers and started shooting everybody? Like, that's not helpful. Yeah. And then as this is happening, we've got Bobby wheeling Jody out, and we've got Mrs. Hackett is the name we find out of her roommate. And so Bobby puts Jody in a cab, says, go rest. I'll be by later.
Yay, and Jody is free. Woo!
She's free. So Bobby's going to go to the morgue, finds the body of Mrs. Hackett, and it says that she was there for a foot surgery and she died that morning, but she's already had a full autopsy, which is abnormal.
But not in Supernatural land. Like, you guys like get into this morgue all the time, like 2 minutes after the body's dead, and you're like digging organs out of them. So whatever.
That's true.
But then we go from that back to this is where like
back to Bobby's.
Yeah.
And at Bobby's house, we see Dean
pull in. Yeah. What the fuck? Like, why? How?
By himself.
How? What?
Not with Sam. And he can't find Sam.
Oh.
Better turn on that GPS. So now we know that Sam is with fake Dean. This is fake Dean being
but
mean
who's
to Sam.
driving?
Fake Dean. I don't know.
I hate it. I'm just like rocking myself slowly in a corner. All right.
And they see a conference room, and Dean says they have to go up there, but Sam's like, I don't know, I'm out of control. I don't really want to, or Dean's tells Sam that he's out of control, and Sam's like, how is this helping? I don't understand. And they start to go in the door, which says Morningstar Enterprises, I'll note. It's like a Lucifer reference. And then the door closes. He's like, oh, you think you're in an office building, right? Nope, it's an industrial warehouse space.
Because of course it's a warehouse.
Of course it is. And fake Dean turns into Lucifer. And so Sam wants to shoot him, and Lucifer's mocking him, and there's shots, and they're yelling, and it's all stupid.
Yeah, like mine say, Sam is shooting at nothing. Lucifer taunting him to kill himself. This is so dark, and I hate it.
Yeah. Well, Bobby's looking at Mrs. Hatchett's body.
Okay, well, I love this. All right. So I don't understand. Like, that part is, like, so dark. I'm like, like all these organs that he's pulling out. Okay.
And Dr. Sexy arrives, and Bobby pretends to be FBI because he's like, whoa, I will shut your hospital down. But unfortunately, Dr. Sexy, a.k.a. Leviathan, remembers Bobby and knows that he is, I saw you through the angel's eyes.
What? Like, that's something, right? Like, that's crazy. So Bobby, though, like, so Bobby just clocks it
with a metal medical hammer.
Love it. Love you, Bobby. Bam!
So good. Then he's got a shotgun hidden next to Mrs. Hatchett's body that he pulls out. And he shoots him.
Well, before he even shoots him, though, like he Canadian South Parks his head, and it like pops open, and we see like the tongue coming out, which is kind of.
I was trying to forget about it.
It's an interesting effect, but
we got a full like head split in half. We got big sharp teeth and a skinny little tongue like wiggling
a
around.
pronged tongue too, so it's like a lizard tongue.
Pronged tongue.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got Bobby shoots at it and the buckshot hits him, goes in, but then it just falls right back out on the floor and all the black liquid drips out.
And there's just more black shit everywhere. Like the black ooze is just like.
And smartly Bobby runs.
Yes, smart Bobby. You just go.
No more Leviathan shit. Get out of there.
All right, so Dean then pulls up to of course, it's a warehouse, and we see
because he followed the GPS.
He followed the GPS, and we see a parked van.
Yeah, where did this van come from? And its headlights are on. Like, what the fuck? Who drove this? Did Sam drive himself?
Did Sam drive himself and think he was
and not
Lucifer
remember driving?
Like, what the fuck is this?
That is bad. That's dangerous.
This is all terrible. This is terrible. I really hope like this is like next door. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just bad. It's just bad. And
it's so bad. And this whole scene, I hate this scene.
I don't like this. Like the who am I?
I'm gonna give here's the big summary is Dean goes in, asks Sam what's doing. Sam's super confused, points a gun at Dean. Lucifer is flickering, changes into Lucifer still, but then also goes to Dean sometimes. So Sam is getting mind fucked by Lucifer, pretending that he's Dean sometimes, but also playing that he's Lucifer. Actual Dean is trying to talk Sam off the ledge to not shoot him. And so Dean actually does get smart and uses, to bring Sam back to reality, uses physical pain, which is dark and fucked, but also kind of makes sense. So like, what, this is real. And he grabs Sam's injured hand and digs his fingers into the wound to bring him back to ground him. And then while Lucifer is still taunting him, but Lucifer flickers. So now we know Lucifer might not be real. I don't fucking know. But either way, it kind of matters. He's talking about flesh and blood, blah, blah, blah. And I've got you. We got you. We got to believe in us. And then Lucifer disappears for a second, and Dean talks about, you got to start with a building blocks. This is stepping stone number one, and just building it. Believe in me, and we'll get through this.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. This whole thing is fucking dark. Dean also, like my notes say that the one of the ways he takes it back is by, look at me, I am the captain now. I think that is very much happening here. Which I actually used in a work conversation the other day. Seriously. Look at me, I am the captain. I've stopped giving fucks about a lot of things. But yeah, this is like, that's so fucked up. Like, so the way that you're going to convince your brother that you're in reality is by torturing him. But
it was tying him back to an event he remembered before this got that far, and saying, okay, you remember cutting your hand. We were there together. This is reality, and this is what happened, and you have this wound, and I'm standing here next to you, and I wrapped the wound. And
the hand cutting happened while he was already broken. Like, he was breaking when he cut his hand. Like, things are like...
That's reasonable, but he wasn't hallucinating yet. Well, he was. Never mind. He wasn't hallucinating Lucifer yet. But yes, you're correct.
But I also think, like, there is something, like, my inner goth loves that Dean really... Like, one of the way that he calms him down, he was just like, look, like, when we're tortured in hell, it's different than being tortured here. Like, this life is terrible. Mm-hmm. But it's a different kind of terrible. And as somebody who has lived through the past 5 years or so, which I know, like, future podcast me will be listening to this and laughing about how bad I thought it was now, like, as the lizard people with their forked tongues have taken over, like, but I do appreciate that darkness, but it's also still like, it's doubly dark, right? Like, this life is terrible, but it's a different kind of terrible than hell. Like, I've been there, I was tortured there, like, it's different, right?
That feels different than this. Yeah. Well, in the midst of all this, Sam's phone rings and it's Bobby, and he's like, yeah, the sheriff was right. There's definitely a hospital, a monster thing at the hospital. I double-barreled one, and with silver buckshot, didn't have any effect. Just got some black ooze. And then, let's meet at the house to regroup.
I love how that's how Bobby, like, I shot it with a shotgun. I double-barreled it. Ooh, Bobby. Sass.
Double-barreled it. So Sam and Dean get in the car, and he's pretty relieved that Sam's not seeing anything yet. And they pull up to Bobby's, though. And this is upsetting.
It's so fucking upsetting. Like, this episode wasn't upsetting enough. But the house is fucking burnt down. What the fuck?
Like gone. And they haven't been gone that long.
What happened to my bunker? I have my fucking bunker. Is my bunker still there? I don't know.
So it's still like crackling. There's still embers. They're searching for Bobby. Dean's like, what the fuck? This is an intentional torching. They cannot find Bobby. And Dean tries to call Bobby after Sam's off, while Sam's separate from him.
And before we get to that, he also, when Sam's just like asking what's going on, like Dean holds up like a burnt journal and then just like, no, not the books. All those rare books that are inside of Bobby's house. And then I'm just back whimpering in a corner. I'm like, please, no, like those books are very rare. Let's get them back. And then we get to Bobby's direct hotline,
which says that you should not have this number. But Dean leaves a message and just basically says, like, you cannot have been in that crater. If you're gone, I swear I will strap my brother into the car and drive up here.
My beautiful mind brother, which is it's a great thing to throw in there.
And you asked how I was. I'm not good. Where are you? But it was just really honest. And it was like, this is finally Dean vented as he best in the way that he could, which I will give you.
Yeah.
So there you go. But as Sam's wandering around looking for Bobby, he instead finds our friend Edgar the Leviathan. That's not good. Who informs him that apparently you two Winchesters are competent enough to warrant annihilating.
Yeah, you made the hit list. Congratulations.
Oh. So he's about to attack Sam, but Dean manages to shoot Edgar in the head with the buckshot. But of course, as we know, it doesn't have any real effect. And we get the big crazy mouth, Leviathan mouth, big mouth.
Yeah, but every time I do this, like, I feel like I'm making the Beetlejuice like thing.
It does.
It is kind of also like a Beetlejuice hat too. It's a great effect. I love it.
It is. He like looks back and his mouth gets real crazy big, and it's like the, what do they call that? What do they call the hinge skull or the hinge jaw? What do they call it? Because your jaw's a hinge. What is
jaw.
it? Where they?
I don't know.
Yeah, whatever, that thing. Anyways, so there's a fight. Dean's leg's broken, and Sam manages to punch good old Edgar, and then Dean drops a car on him. Because they just have it hanging from this at all times, apparently.
Well, it is a junkyard. So I think every time, like, a car gets taken off, there's like, okay, it's time to, like, scroll up another one. And they just keep one posed. Like, we never know when we have to cartoon death somebody. And so
I don't think it works that way, but I'll take it. Sure.
That's how it works at Bobby Singer's house.
It does have
Bobby Singer, paranoid son of a bitch. Like, you better have, like, a car strung up to drop on a Leviathan.
So it falls, and we see the black fluids gush out from under the car in Edgar's hand. So we think he did.
I don't know. He gushes, but then like we find out that Dean's got a broken leg now,
and Sam's unconscious and won't wake up. So they got to call the ambulance, and they're in the freaking ambulance. And they're giving reports talking about how Sam has
This is the first time that Dean has ever called like an ambulance. Like, what? He just didn't like...
Well, I think it's because he didn't have anything else to do. Sam's unconscious. They're next to a burned out house. They don't know where Bobby is, and he's got a broken leg. He can't pick up Sam and carry him. They're kind of fucked. They kind of had to.
Yeah, I guess.
I think.
Whatever. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just a weird choice.
It's also terrible timing for this when there's a monster at the hospital.
Yeah, but like, so what? This like one. I just don't believe this ambulance could have found them, but whatever. So somehow these EMTs have like found them, and they're taking them to a hospital, and Sam is seizing.
Yeah, he's having a seizure and sees Lucifer. So that's not good. And Dean is very upset when he finds out that they're going to Sioux Falls General Hospital. He's like, anywhere else. But the EMT just kind of blows him off. And our final scene of this episode is back at Bobby's junkyard, where we see the fluids that were all squished out of Ed. That's why I started calling him Ed at this point. Are all sucked back under the car, and his fingers move. So, that wasn't enough to kill him. No. Fuck.
And that's just
Leviathan
the end.
Shit was reabsorbed. That's it.
Yep, that's how it ends.
So, yeah. Well, I have a little bit of a cast for you tonight.
Alright.
Casting couch. It's the casting couch. Were they on that show that time with that guy? La 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 la.
I focused on some of the more notable ones that had a little bit larger repertoire or recognizable shows. So we did have quite a few folks. But we had Dr. Gaines. It was played by Cameron Bancroft. He was Jack in Rock and Roll High School Forever, which was the sequel to Rock and Roll High School, starring Corey Feldman. He was also in Kurt in Just One of the Girls with Corey Haim. So he was in films with both Coreys. He was Joe Bradley in Beverly Hills 90210, which was a regular character. You may have seen him in single episodes of shows like Charm, The Collector, CSI Miami, Smallville, and Once Upon a Time. He was also a reoccurring character named Lee Castle in 24. Pete in The Babysitter's Guide to Monster Hunting, which I just found amusing. It's on Netflix, and a lot of Hallmark stuff.
Yes, he's in a lot of Hallmark stuff. Yes.
Edgar was played by Benito Martinez. Single episodes of shows like Star Trek Next Generation, X-Files, Firefly, Bones, Castle, Hawaii Five-0. He was Dr. Julio Ruiz in the movie Outbreak, if you want to flash back to that one, movies that we never want to watch again. He was Brett in the film Saw. He was multiple episodes of The Unit, 24, and Big Sky, which is the other show that Jensen Ackles is on. He was Ronnie in regular character in Saving Grace, Luis in Sons of Anarchy, Hector Mendoza in House of Cards. He played Senator then President Diaz in The Blacklist, and Gabriel Reyes currently in 911 Lone Star. So pretty big.
He became a pretty
resume.
He became a pretty big actor.
Yeah, Annie, our creepy little girl, was played by Olivia Steele Falconer. And she has been in single episodes of shows like Smallville, The 100. She's there's a small series of films called the Fairly Odd Movies, and they're like it's live action versions of the Fairly Odd Parents, which is a Nickelodeon cartoon. So they got kids like TV movies. But she's Katie in those, and then she was a reoccurring character named Violet in Once Upon a Time. Our head nurse was played by Lori. That's the one that was like, I don't know who you're talking about. You need to rest, honey. There was no one here. Lori Triolo. She was Linda on the 4400, Agent Ordelia in Riverdale, and Dr. Zimmerman in Bulletproof, the movie that came out last year. Madeline Hatchett, our woman who disappears and gets her liver eaten, is played by Patty Allen. She is Jimmy's mom in Reefer Madness, the 2005 musical. Mrs. Pitt in Ramona and Beezus, another film. She was in a couple episodes of Once Upon a Time. She played a few characters on Supergirl and a whole lot of Christmas stuff.
Nice.
So there we go.
Cool. Yeah. So this episode,
super stressful Bummersville.
Yep.
I rate it Bummersville.
This was definitely on, I think it's not been 0 episodes since, many episodes have been Bummersville lately.
Many episodes.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll get out of it soon. I mean, there was really great writing in this episode.
Absolutely. That's what I was going to say. I was like, that made it like super... If I didn't have great writing on an episode like this, I would understand fast forwarding through it. It's a tough cookie.
It's a tough cookie, and I just, as much as I love the acting between Mark and Jared, I don't think that after a while it's just kind of redundant, right? Like, cool, like, get it, Sam was in hell, you're torturing him. Move on. Like, what are we learning here? What are we taking from this? Like, so,
or is he like? Come on, I don't like them. Like, I don't mind like a mind fuck, like a psychological thriller mind
but doing
fuck.
it in an episode, I don't mind like Buffy did, right? Like, I still hate it. I still hate it. But doing it in episodes, I don't want to do it for a whole fucking like. We already did this last season. Like, we're still. Let's just going.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
But the writing on this, the lines, the banter were really great.
Yeah. So we know Leviathan are out. They're doing things. Cass is dead now. That's a thing that happened.
So Cass is dead. We don't know where Bobby is, and we've got Leviathans. And Dean's leg is broken, and Sam's unconscious and having seizures.
The fuck.
This is episode 2 of the season. What the fuck? How did people survive that?
If you were into the show, I
would have been so mad. I would have been so fucking mad if I was watching this in real time when it came out. I'd be like, "Are you talking game.
You know, there was somebody who I talked to last weekend, and they're like, "Oh, what is your podcast on?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's a television show, Supernatural. Like, we just got to season 7. Oh, that's when I stopped watching.
And you're like, yeah, I hear that sometimes.
Yeah. So I don't. But we still love the show, and we don't want you to not like. We're not mad at it.
For sure.
Like, it's
no.
It's not a
we will
pod.
continue watching. We will continue doing this. We will just mock it sometimes when we're annoyed with it.
Anyways, all right. With that, I don't know. Like, there's Leviathan shit everywhere. But I'm gonna go. All right. So, cheers, shark.
Cheers, bitch.
Devil's Trap Podcast is a Don't Get It production. Meow.
Devil's Trap Podcast is part of the Ship It Studios Podcast Network. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Devil's Trap Podcast, Twitter at Devil's Trap Pod, or you can email us at devilstrap@devilstrappodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave reviews, and share with all your friends. We're at all your favorite podcast outlets and at devilstrappodcast.com. I'm Babe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.